Apologies for the ever so long delay, dear wanderers. Today we're heading back to the library, back to the Wing 1, the hidden nest, back to the first Oak's shelf, where we'll pick up the first work we see. This one appears to be a newspaper from the library, and it was brought to us by Dinbador. Now without further ado, Gathering Storms. Entry 0921. Date, Ekrev, 14th, 3121, Romve. 0800 hours.
Today is Fromve, the worst day of the week for a number of reasons. Namely, that happy hour starts almost at midnight, time at which any sensible person would already expect to be intoxicated. Showing up sober at such a time is thus a death sentence for any semblance of good taste. The venturing fool forced to wade through crowds of dancing cretins, wannabe socialites, and other unimaginable pleasantries. Fortunately, men with enough experience will always stay a step ahead of adversary, meaning I have already cracked open what supplies I gathered in days past, and preparation is key to surviving any drought. Step out the front porch with my drink in one hand and my .22 carbine in the other. That paperboy better have the goods. I've always said a good paperboy, girl, or other is vital for keeping a neighborhood running. As vital as good neighbors. As vital as a mandatory retirement age for strippers. Get you on news early? All of them. The good, the bad, the worst. Better to know early in the morning what kind of shit awaits you past the safety of your front porch. That way you'll always know what face to wear to work. The paperboy is right on time, as always, waving farewell with a non-threatening hand. I didn't spill a single drop, meaning it's time for another round. Then maybe some breakfast. Read the newspaper as I pour myself another glass. Fucks at Planthea must be happy now that they get circulation beyond the library. Let's see that front page. Ah, there he is. That glorious fucker with the greasy toupee and the stained suit. One eye peering from behind that missing sunglass lens. Glad someone hired actual talent to capture the moment. Wouldn't want the utter depravity of everything to go written but unseen. The final tour is decadent and deprived. Blunt? Yes, but what else could I call such an event? An orgy of grotesque? A carnival for the dead of spirit? Would never make it past the editors. They might be cheap idiots, but they are still the man. And the man always knows when to bring his fist down. Or does he? Don't think anyone is yet ready to forget #Panathea's over party. Editors might be different, but who else is beckoned by such position of power but the lowest of the low? Always expect the worst from bureaucrats. Better get that breakfast. What fried bugs go best with worm whiskey? Fuck!
The newspaper hit the wall with almost slapstick flair, pages fluttering like a scared bird before lying limply on the ground. Taking most of the paper's front page, a lone title could be read in huge, bold letters. The final tour is decadent and depraved. Erwin Nifs, editor-in-chief for Planthea Press, paced through his office like a caged beast, his three eyes occasionally glancing at the blasted publication that threatened to soil his efforts at restoring the newspaper's ailing reputation. Below the damning title, a picture of a profusely sweating Elvis impersonator stared back at him, mockingly.
How the fuck did we let this shit hit the papers? And then the front page were prices.
Irwin could barely keep from pulling at his hair. What should have been a normal, fairly mainstream reporting on a music festival had instead turned into a scathing, vitriolic rant, a nauseating piece detailing the worst excesses of the final tour's organizers and concert goers, a merciless attack on the greatest show in the multiverse. 100 million copies had already been distributed to every Planisthea stand in the Wanderer's library, where no power in the World Tree could keep them away from prying eyes. So much for winning back their readership. A sudden knocking at his office door startled Irwin, followed by his secretary's timid, muted voice.
Mr. Nifs,
Aisha called.
Mr. Gathers is...
Damn it, just open the goddamn door, woman.
A hoarse, gravelly voice rose over Aisha's.
I got better things to do than sitting on my ass for some third-rate bureaucrat to make up his mind.
The door swung open, and the source of all Nif's ills came into view. A 1.92 meters of scale wrapped in a loose-fitting hunting jacket and blue pants, crowned by a triumvirate of sharp, forward-pointing horns jutting from a reptilian forehead and snout. Two independently moving eyes gazed at him with unapologetic irritation, mouth clenching, an unlit cigarette holder. Duke Gathers. Journalist and drug addict extraordinaire stepped into Irwin's office, ignoring Aisha's feeble attempts to stop him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nifs. He wouldn't wait and...
That's okay, Aisha. Irwin tried his best not to lose his cool. Why don't you go fetch us some coffee? Mr. Gathers and I have some important matters to discuss. Aisha closed the door as Gathers sat on the chair best accommodating to his form.
Coffee, you said?
The lizard grumbled, his tail curling.
Better have it spiked with something good. Hate listening to your yammering without some social lubricant. Always time for a drink. Now, what's this about? If you still want me to take over the obituaries, I'll need to see an advance first.
No, it's not about that, Mr. Gather. Can I just call you Duke?
Go ahead,
the reptile said, flicking out a match and trying to light a cigarette.
Try not to trip over so many letters. I know you editorial types tend to be literarily challenged.
Hey, smoking's not allowed in here.
Huh?
Gathers replied, expelling smoke through his nostrils.
Go figure.
He continued smoking as Nif's face grew redder and redder, his own visage virtually hidden behind a curtain of filthy air.
So, I'll repeat myself. What's this whole deal of dragging a man out of his home and into your fancy office with such short notice about?
This. Nif slammed a copy of the day's Planisthea onto the desk, square before Duke's chameleonic eyes. Another puff of noxious vapors left his mouth as he leaned in closer to gaze at the horrid title and picture that filled the entire front page. His expression changed.
What about it?
It's
glorious. I know.
It's fucking hideous, Nif blurted out. It's disgusting, nauseating. Duke's face raised the reptile equivalent of an eyebrow.
That's the whole point. Goddamn concert was grosser than a nudist retreat for the elderly and about half as fun. That's not what I meant. Your take is what disgusts me. Your writing. This is not what we sent you there for. What the fuck were you expecting? Detailed commentary on each and every artist with the required half-brain to play there. You wanted something along those lines, you should have sent Ragnar. Mr. Halson is dead. You know that. He went down with Ascendor and their fans when the gods they'd killed returned for the rematch. So? You've never done a seance? Thought the journalists that signed for permanent jobs sold their souls to you fucks. The point is, Duke, that this kind of work is unacceptable. We sent you to the final tour so you'd report on the bands, the music, maybe write a review about the best light show, not attack the audience for having a little fun. Little fun? Damned asteroid was about to crash on irreplaceable cultural heritage, and not the point, Duke, Nifs interrupted. Do you even know which artists played that night? The name of a single song. It's like you paid no attention at all. It would have made no difference if I had. All those amateurs sound the same, even if you're stone cold sober. This is not what we want at Planethea Press, the editor screeched at last. This is not what our readership wants to read. What the hell do you know about what your readership wants? Duke scoffed. Weren't you one of the bastards who tried paywalling Planethea to the tits? How about you go try and tell them what they want? The reptile stood from his seat, clawed hands grabbing onto the edges of Nif's desk, his entire body leaning forward. His face grew closer and closer as his eyes finally focused the same spot. Two of Nif's three eyes met Duke's steely gaze. I'll tell you what my readers want, you warm-blooded Triclops fuck. The words came out as a hiss. They want news that tells the truth. They want news that tells a good story. And more than anything, they want news that are raw. He clasped the newspaper as if it were a weapon, and held it a few centimeters away from Nif's face. This is raw. The petulant posers that frolic about, alien to the irreparable loss they're celebrating. The revolting thing that is the audience eating its own, shitting them out and calling it art. This is what you hired me for. What you thought your little dying publication needed to get back in everyone's good graces. Well, you called me, and I have delivered. And if your editorial control is so lax that a piece you hated got to the fucking front page, well, that's your fucking problem. The cigarette at the end of Duke's holder had burned down to embers, a thick, pestilent cloud enveloping both him and Nifs as the latter tried not to cough. A show of weakness he was sure the reptile awaited. Duke let go of the desk and, throwing the paper back to the editor, stormed out of the office shouting, Do as thou wilt, Nifs. Pull back the edition, burn it to the ground for all I care. You want superficial bullshit news? Call that a little shit Relec next time. He almost knocked down Aisha on his way out, quick to grab one of the coffee cups she was carrying and swallowing it in one gulp. And your coffee tastes like ass, you cheap fuck. Erwin Nif stared back at Aisha, who stood, mouth agape, with the remaining coffee cup still in her hands. Duke was right. You really could use a drink right about now. Entry 0921 continued. Date Ekriv 14th, 3121, Fromve,
1730 hours.
There are times when men become unwilling prophets, unknowingly predicting doom for themselves and all their kind. Thus has today's newspaper become an omen of my own disgrace, delivered unto me by the man, like it was by the paper boy before him. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. Like I said, the man is still the man. He can't change his own nature like I cannot change my own. And we are thus destined for nothing but to clash again and again. Though the unfathomable designs of fate may sometimes see fit to force us to collaborate. Still, if this has been my last time working with Planethea Press, it was well worth it just to see that three-eyed fuck's expression when I spoke my truth. Damned be the day I bend my knee to the likes of Erwin Niff. Climbed down the manhole in my living room and into the basement. Faint lights flashing at the flick of a switch to cover the walls and their occupants with ethereal warmth. My friends, my comrades, my unflinching allies welcome me. Row upon row of polished metal tubes and elegantly grafted grips, silent now but waiting to speak the thunder. Maybe I should take one for a stroll. Pick the one I call Helen, and feel her as I get her loaded. Heavy, voluptuous, almost obscene. Desert Eagles are guns made for the arrogant and insecure. Shiny shit is hardly worth a recoil stronger than a mule's kick, or a lack of finesse that speaks for both the gun and its wielder. You want to look like a caveman with a rock? Get yourself a Glock for half the price. But today I feel like spending some quality time with Helena. So good taste be damned. Go to the backyard and set up some targets. Can't have ones filled with nitro in this neighborhood, so a few regular propane tanks will do. Think about recent events while shooting. Setting fire to the neighborhood seems like a perfectly valid form of protest at this point. The man has brought down his fist on me, and I must fight back. A true knight, will he sword, gun, or pen, may lose everything. Home, friends, life and limb. But never can he lose his spirit. A man who sacrifices his integrity has been truly lost to the corruption and filth of this world. Still, I fear the worst. That Nifs is right. That maybe I write in vain. What happens if even those who hear the truth cannot recognize it? What if they have drowned, swallowed by a whirlpool of lies and vanity, unable to recognize they've stopped breathing? I once swore to shove the truth down the throat of the world itself, but perhaps nothing would change. Nothing at all. Perhaps posh, narcissistic fucks like Nifs and Rolek are what the public wants. The gods onto whose altars they will throw themselves in ecstasy. Perhaps this world is no longer a place for truth to struggle. Whiffs, some naxatress, both in celebration and mourning. And let's get back to blowing shit up.
Entry 0922. Date Ekriv 15th 3121. Gede 10:24 hours.
Woke up late and sore and thirsty. Come down syndrome is a bitch. Phone was ringing incessantly. Nif's secretary, a poor thing, called. Said her boss wanted to talk again. Bastard better have either another paycheck or an ass-kissing apology. Or at least the guts to blacklist me himself. Nothing else will do. Really hate editor types. Any chance taken to bleed them dry is a service to society. Maybe should take Helena with me. Do a Hemingway with it. That might carry the point across. Hope the coffee's better, too.
The shit-eating grin across Nif's face was the first sign of doom Duke noticed as he stepped into the editor's office, still wishing he'd brought a gun with him. At least blowing his brains out would have been an easy way out. The second sign was undoubtedly the apology. And as you know, we are still trying to get things sorted out here at Planisthea. A few slips on the editor's part are bound to happen. Not that you could be to blame with it. No, the Triclops splurted out.
Too honest. Too pleasing. Something's up.
Duke thought, his guard as high as could be. First sign of Nif's ratting his drugs out to the feds, he'd jump right through the office's window. If anything, we should have established more specific parameters for what we wanted you to write, or at least consult you before jumping to conclusions about your unorthodox piece, let alone publishing it on the front page. What I'm trying to say is you are not to blame for our error, and I apologize for yesterday's.
Why don't you drop the fucking act and tell me what this is about already?
Duke growled. The smile on Nif's face grew wider as his three eyes fixed on Duke. Of course, he said in an unnaturally cheery voice. See, Duke, I've been thinking, consulting with the other editors, and we have reached the conclusion that we are to blame for that hidden, unfortunately redacted piece. Thus, since you are blameless, and to show just how sorry we are, we wish for you to write another piece for us. One we could only entrust a lizard with your keen eye to make justice to. See, Marshall Carter and Dark are having an auction this weekend, and for the first time ever, they're allowing the press to take a good look inside. We would love for you to cover it. Duke's back straightened almost instinctively, nearly spilling the coffee he'd just spiked, both eyes pointing forward as his brain began racing. He should not be excited at all. Poisoned honey could be an excellent bait for unsuspecting flies. But this... Now, this could be some news worth reporting on. What was even the catch here? It took a little more than 2 seconds before he gave in, and words came rushing out his mouth.
Fine,
the lizard said, trying not to betray his growing enthusiasm.
I'll have your piece first thing next week.
Nif's smile kept growing, yellowish teeth gnashing against each other. Not so fast, my friend. The Triclops was on the verge of cackling. Since we are still wary of another incident, we would like for this to be a joint assignment, a co-written piece, so that we may have different perspectives that complement each other, and, well, you get the idea. So, there's the catch. Peer censorship, Duke thought. Still, maybe a rookie would be easier to swindle into letting him write the whole thing.
All right. Tell my partner to get in touch with me when they fancy. Aisha's got my number. As for the advance,
Oh, no need for that, Mr. Gathers. Your partner's already here. Maybe you two can start conversing about your angle. Nifs pressed a small button on his desk while speaking into the microphone next to it. Aisha, please be a dearie and let our friend in. Duke turned his head around as the door swung open, and his face turned white at the sight that awaited behind it. A bug of a man filled the doorway, unnaturally tall for a praying mantis. Pale green chitin shone as if waxed, a gaudy scarf wrapped around its upper thorax. A pair of matching tinted glasses nearly hid its pinprick eyes. A smirk Duke knew should be impossible, forming on its mandibles. Hiya, Duke! Relex's voice blared, the sound of his clicking mandibles biting into Duke's very soul. Long time no see. Ready to get to work? It's gonna be a blast! Entry 0922. Continued. Date Ekrev 15th, 3121. Gede 15:15 hours. Fuck. And with that, we've reached the end of our reading, dear wanderers. Thank you very much for coming. It's always a fun time visiting in on Dukes and wearing the hell out of my voice. Oh, God. But this is where we'll have to end it for today, dear wanderers. It has been an honor reading for you. Good luck out there. Hope to see you all next time, and remember to take a look at the stars if you can see them. And if you can't, maybe some clouds or just a nice blue sky.